Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to be doing another page in my circle art journal today, and this art journal is going to be based on song lyrics or poetry. So today and over the past couple of weeks, Ian and I have been doing quite a few different projects that have featured birds, and this is just another extension of that. Yeah, so we're going to be doing, or I'm going to do an art journal page based on the 1977 Bob Marley The Wailers song Three Little Birds. So using the chorus as the main kind of prompt and inspiration for the page. So we're doing birdies today. So I've only got 8 inches in which to draw and create my 3 little birds. And as the name suggests, they don't want to be big birds, they just want to be little birds anyway. But I need to get them kind of equally spaced on the page. So I need to do a little bit of just planning, really. So the main one can be a little bit bigger. I'm going to do the main one sort of in the middle and just sort of towards the bottom. And I'm only going to be drawing or sketching kind of lightly so that I don't put too much pressure on that, and I can use my rubber later, my eraser later, to clear them out. So I'm going to just create a basic birdish shape, and what I always try and do with bird shapes is create a kind of semicircle, but follow the line on as you're coming round up, which will then create kind of like the tail. That kind of gives you that shape. You can then round off your circle like so, and then you can just add your little beak, and your feet can just come down, 3 toes forward, 1 back, and that's pretty much your basic shape for your little bird. So what I'm going to try and do now is do that in reverse at this side, but take it a little bit smaller. So take that line up again, do that semicircle, and then we can just bring that up for the little birdie's tail there. So little birdie can be looking upwards. And that doesn't really leave as much room at this side then to put the 3rd bird. So what I might do is I might just rub that one out, because that's the beauty of using pencil. Not a very good eraser, I'm afraid. It's squeaky. And then maybe just try and bring it down a little bit. So bring up, semicircle across, and then bring that up there for the birdie's tail. Maybe make him a little bit plumper. There we go. And then we can just bring birdie's feet down this way. I'm not going to put in too much detail on the feet just yet. There's no point. Okay, so we've got a nice little basic shape for our birdie there. We've got a nice little basic shape for our whimsical little birdie there. And then let's see if we can get another one up here. And we can always sit them on branches around that, and then let's see if we can do a little bit of tail shape here. There we go. So we've got 3 little birdies. pretty much. Okay, so what I've also got just to the side here is I've got some water, because we're going to do a bit, or we're going to try and do a little bit of kind of like watercolouring with these. So I've got my Indigo Blue Vivids Eco inks. So I'm going to do a blue, I'm going to do a green, and then we're going to pick a kind of reddishy colour, reddishy pink. So I think Friar Tuck might be the best colour for that, because that's more of a definite kind of pinky colour. So grab some water, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the wet on wet kind of approach with this. Just before I do that, let me just clear out some of those unwanted lines in the middle. Not that you're going to see much of them anyway. So grab some water, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill the entire shape, just saturate the shape of the birdie. So effectively I'm colouring in the internal area of the bird with water. So the water will soak into the mixed media cardstock that I'm using as my page, but shouldn't allow any of the colour that I'm going to put down next to go outside that line. So let's just grab some of that blue, a really small amount, don't need a huge amount. Tiny bit of water, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come this way and just dot and dab into that birdie shape. And while it's still wet, just clean my brush, just wipe that up, grab some of the green. So all these matte vivid inks have all got like Robin Hood kind of names. So I've got Little John, Friar Tuck, and Robin Hood here. Robin Hood being the green. So just wet my brush, just peel a little bit of the colour, and then we can just drop it in and let it blend. Just let it do its own thing. As it will do. Clean my brush, and then I'm going to get a little bit of that Friar Tuck, which is a kind of pinky red, just a tiny little bit. Like I said, you don't need a lot with these. And then we'll just drop that in. Oh, look at that, look how strong that is. So you've got a pool of water, that's fine. Because if there's too much, I'll just dry the brush off, and then I can just lift some of that out and just kind of dilute it down a little bit. Make sure the brush is clean, and we can just pick out that colour, which is quite strong, but it will die back a little bit now. So there should be a yellow one in here called Loxley Yellow, and it's hiding at the back. No, that's Helena Dale, it's right there in front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the yellow down, just one little drop. Just take it a little, and then just come in and just let it do its thing. Just add a little bit more water into that pink because it is quite strong, and then I can get some tissue and I can just come in and just lift some of that out, and that's going to lighten it up. Okay, so I'm going to continue and do the same thing with the other two birds. So clean water, try and stay between in the little drawing that I've been doing, and then this time we'll get the yellow and we'll add that to the body, wash that out, and then we'll pick the green. So we'll do the tail, a little bit darker on the head, and all I'm doing is just dabbing the paint in and then allowing it just to kind of sit and do its own thing. And then just to get it to blend a little bit, I'm just dabbing along that border, like so. And then we'll take the third bird, and I'm just going to spin it round. Maybe just try and remove some of those lines from the body. What I love about doing kind of like these whimsical creatures is that there's no right and there's no wrong. You can't get them wrong because, you know, they don't exist in reality. They're only, you know, like your imagination's birds. So they can be whatever colour you like. Doesn't make any difference. Now then, did we have, was that the blue? That's gone really, really dark. That's gone into a purple there. Right, let me just clear that out because I think I've got some contamination on the colours. All right, so let's get some more. Let's kind of keep that green. That was too many blobs there. That was the blue there, wasn't it? Oop. Okay. Bit of water. I'm going to take the small blob of blue because, like I said, you really, really don't need a huge amount. And then just wash the brush off. Tiny, tiny little bit of the green. And just dab that in. And then if you want, just as a kind of little highlight, maybe just add a tiny, tiny little bit. I mean, the tiniest little morsel, less than a third of a grain of rice. Just kind of like around that area there. And then I'm going to clean the brush off, dab off some of the water, and then just come in and just start dabbing around the edges, just to kind of encourage it to blend and do its thing. And I might just add a little bit of that yellow just up on the tail as well. Okay, so there's the basic shape to my three little birds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this up, give them space and time to dry, and then I'll be right back. All right, so they're now dry enough for me to work on top of. So I've got a black pen, or you can use any pen when you're doing stuff like this. So any kind of black pen will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start to kind of reinforce those lines now. So come in and just go around the birdie Now you can be as accurate or as scribbly as you want to. Like so. And then I'm going to draw the beak in like that. And then just go around each of the shapes. You can make these as simplistic as you want. Make them as folky, as primitive as Float Your Boat. As a wise woman once said, whatever blows your hair back. Just kind of reinforce that. So what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to also come in now and just give them some feet. Just make decisions about where they're going to go. And all I'm doing is just giving them flicks, really. And that is pretty much it for the basic shape of your birds. So I've not put any eyes in, but usually the eyes usually go in line with the beak. Like so. Just like that. Now, because this is an ink pen, not like a ballpoint one, it will need a few minutes to dry, but that's fine. So what we can do is we can start planning what we want to do with the background. So I think I'm going to paint in some kind of like branches and leaves underneath each one, using the same sort of paints as before, but just using some very basic brush strokes. So I'm going to get some of that green paint, the ink I should say, that we're using as a watercolour, and some of the yellow, just so I can vary the shades of green that I'm putting down. So I'll grab a bit of a brush that's got more of a point to it, and I'm just going to wet that, and I'm going to work wet on dry this time. So I'll just grab a little bit of the blue, the green. You can see I'm just pulling away from the blob because it's starting to chase my nib all over the place. So all I want to try and do now is just to kind of start painting in some basic leaf shapes. Just grab a little bit of water and just use kind of like the shape of the brush. And just allow that to kind of form the colour, the shape. And like I said, you don't have to be accurate. You can be as scribbly as you want to. I'm just pushing down on the brush just to kind of flare out a little bit. Just to kind of give me those leaf shapes. So a little bit more water. And then what I'll do, just clean off the brush. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of the yellow, just to kind of add in a little bit of variation. But do it very loose. Really, really loose. Okay, so I'll do the same thing again for this little birdie at this side. Just paint in a few little basic leaf shapes. Maybe grab some of the yellow like before. And then we'll do the same thing to the little birdie at the top. So let's start a bit further out this way. We can paint in maybe just a few more up this side. And then again, just to kind of keep it kind of simple, maybe just add one little brush stroke of the yellow. Like I said, you don't need a lot, just to add a little bit of a suggestion so that it's all kind of together. All right, so I need to allow that to kind of dry. So I'll get that dried off and then I'll be right back. All right, so my little leaves are all dry. So what I can do now is I can come in and just start adding a little bit of structure into those. And like we said before, you don't have to be very accurate really. As long as you've got the impression. And all we're doing is just reinforcing that kind of leaf shape. And you could do this in whatever coloured pencils. I'm kind of keeping that minimalistic background because I don't want it to get too busy. I really don't want it to be too busy. We could add a little bit of a wash in the background, a blue wash in the background. In fact, let's do that just to add a little bit of texture into that background. So we need, remember which is the blue again. You can never remember which is the blue. And it's always the last one you try. Little John, that's it. Little John. And it needs to be very pale. So what we'll do is we'll add a lot of water to the brush. I'll make it quite loose. And then from the top, we can just kind of add a bit of a wash. And let it do its thing. Because we haven't quite finished with the birds yet. And all you need to do, if the colour's too dark, just come in with a little bit more water and then just diffuse it out a little bit. Just a little suggestion of the blue behind the birds. There we go. Like I said, you can always just add a little bit more water just to get it to diffuse a bit wherever they are. All right, clear that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in now, and I've got some coloured pencils. So little Caran d'Ache pencils. So all I'm going to do is just come in and maybe just give the beaks a bit of colour like that. Just so I've deliberately not put the wings in. You may be wondering, I've deliberately not put the wings in because that's the little characteristic that I like when I'm doing my little bird, is I don't necessarily like to put the wing in because I think it kind of takes it away from that whimsicality a little. All right, so let's put those away now. So that background's still a little bit wet, so I'm going to come in and just dry that off. Okay, so the next stage for me is I want to add a little bit of life into those birdies' eyes. Now, I don't have a white gel pen. All I've got are these Posca pens with a really, really big nib. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some of that white paint on the tabletop, and I'm going to take the point of my pencil and I'm just going to pick up the tiniest amount of white paint and just use that to put the little dot in the birdie's eye, and then you can just wash it off. That's it, done. So again, I just want to make sure that's all dry, and then I'll be right back. Right, now they're all dry, I can come in, I can start adding my text to the background of the page. So I'm going to start doing this kind of like freehand. I'm just going to fill this kind of space up here. I'm going to put Bob Marley and the Wailers here, and then I'm going to fill this kind of space up here with the 2 lines from the song. So I'm going to start off at the top. I know doing hand lettering really frightens a lot of people. It did me for a long time. Then I suddenly realised, look, it's my art journal page, it's my handwriting. You don't expect anybody else's handwriting in there. Just do it. If you don't like it, just don't show it to anybody.
Hello everyone. Oh, I like those. Don't worry about it. Bob Marley.
No, don't sing.
No, don't sing. No,
It's
no,
a lovely
no.
day out there. Don't sing.
Don't sing, please.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just write here. And then I'm going to put, just in brackets, 1977, because that's when it was released. There we go. And I like the simplicity and I like the white space. I don't really think it needs anything else really. That'll do for me. So, what did I write on the back of the last one? The Kate Bush one, which we did in January. I just wrote the month on that. So, I'm just going to write March. Just to kind of keep the same, and then today's date. What's today's date, Ian?
It's the 7th of March today.
7th of the 3rd, 25. There we go. So there's my little song lyric circle art journal page for March. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create these little watercolory doodle birds today. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.